Good evening and thank you for joining us. Intimate partner violence has been declared an epidemic in Thunder Bay. The decision came at City Council after local advocacy groups presented some sobering statistics. A recent study found Thunder Bay ranked 3rd out of 34 census metropolitan areas for the number of victims per 100,000 residents. Along with this, City Police reported at least 2,300 reportable incidents of intimate partner violence every year since 2017. Mania of Bindigan, an organization supporting victims, says there's a lack of resources in the city, with her organization forced to turn away nearly 600 people last year.
Educating yourself about this being a huge gap, and that unfortunately sometimes their bed is on the street, sometimes it is tent city, sometimes it is staying at their unsafe uncle's house or their friend that's not not very safe for them. So sometimes there is nowhere.
City staff indicated rates of intimate partner violence will be tracked in annual community safety reports. Several councillors also committed to looking for housing availability options for victims. Thunder Bay Police are investigating a weekend incident on the south side where it's believed a firearm was discharged. It happened just after 4 a.m. Saturday morning on Frederica Street East. Multiple cruisers were still on scene this afternoon, with police tape blocking the side entrance of the building. There's no word on injuries or if an arrest has been made, but we'll provide more information as it becomes available. Thunder Bay Police will soon be better suited for cybercrime investigations thanks to the help of a new service dog. The so-called cyber dog is able to sniff out chemicals in cell phones and other devices to help police find hidden data. The dog is being provided free of charge by Operation Underground Railroad, which fights to stop human trafficking and sexual exploitation. Small storage devices, like SD cards, are easily hidden by predators, but the dog is able to sniff out and find them when search warrants are executed. It will add about $3,800 a year to police operating budget, as the service will have to pay for food, vet, and travel costs. But Detective Inspector Jeremy Pearson says the animal should speed up investigations and even provide emotional support for the officers.
These dogs are comforting to people who are present at the scene of search warrants. Not everyone who's present at a residence that's being searched is a suspect, right? There are people there who are understandably upset, who are confused, who are frightened, and the presence of an animal in a lot of cases is very, very soothing. So we look to that benefit not only for ourselves and for our staff, but also for the members of the public.
Police expect the dog will arrive by March of next year. With winter approaching, Grace Place is once again preparing for their Out of the Cold program beginning November 1st. Grace Place is a nonprofit organization that assists members who may need clothing, food, and shelter. And thanks to funding from the District of Thunder Bay Social Services Board, they were able to open their doors October 1st. Josh Morano reports.
Since opening their doors in 2008, Grace Place, a local nonprofit organization, has been a haven for the homeless population in Thunder Bay, offering food, clothing, and a place to sleep. In 2023, the number of people living outdoors jumped nearly 3 times than compared to last year. Melody Maximchuk, the operations manager of Grace Place, says they're optimistic of where they are from last year, but understands the increased need of their service this winter.
Well, we are kind of concerned. We see the people in the tent cities, and there seems to be a lot more than last year. But all of the service providers work together to make sure that no one's out of the cold.
Maximchuk also says there's no limit on food. Grace Place has a drop-in Mondays to Wednesdays from 1 to 4, serving upwards of 350 meals. She notes, however, there is a limit of beds for those wanting to stay overnight.
Our 25 beds, that is our cap. Last year we expanded. We had 15 beds the year before, and we went up to 25, just because of the increase of people needing shelter.
We seem to kind of meet the need, you know, you're really bumping those top figures through the winter, and then you have to start thinking on your feet. You work with the other shelters, you make the calls, you make the connections, and make sure everybody gets in.
Aside from the 25 beds available, there are also what they call companion mats, which are available depending on the situation. Josh Morano, TBT News.
October is 2S LGBTQ+ History Month, and the Thunder Bay Museum recently hosted a panel discussion and social event to mark the occasion. It was called Our Thunder Gay, Belonging in the Bay. Local Pride community members and supporters gathered to talk about their lives and the history of the queer community in Thunder Bay. Panelist and author of the book Answering a Different Call, David Belrose, is glad to see this kind of acknowledgement here in the city.
Well, I'm glad to see that the museum is becoming much more involved in involving all aspects of community. So this is I'm really giving the museum a lot of credit for putting this on as part of the Culture Days, and it just adds another element to the story of the city, the richness of this community.
I have become the truest version of myself here in this city. Since moving here in 2019, I have been completely welcomed and embraced by the 2S LGBTQI+ community, and I have discovered so many things about myself.
The speeches were followed by a fun game of 2S LGBTQ+ themed bingo. The Northwestern Ontario Innovation Centre has selected companies into its Business Accelerator program, dubbed Co-Starter 2.0. It happened at this year's Digital Transformation Conference. Carl Langdon explains.
Returning for its second year, the Digital Transformation Conference brings together industry leaders, insiders, and new innovators for 3 days of networking opportunities at the Delta Hotel. As part of this year's conference, the Northwest Ontario Innovation Centre announced 5 companies for admission into its accelerator program for new businesses, dubbed Co-Starter 2.0. Participants receive funding, mentorship, and invaluable guidance.
It is a 12-week intensive accelerator program, and they receive $18,000 to support their startup costs over that 12-week period. But the 2.0 really comes into play at the end of that 12-week period, where one company in Thunder Bay and one company in Kenora will be eligible to receive a $250,000 investment.
Mohammed Inam Rashan is developing a mobile application called Work For You, which allows homeowners to easily book appointments with tradespeople.
Our app will help in terms of let's say small jobs, any problems. Normally when you call a plumber, you had to wait at least a day or two. But with our app, it's going to be so fast. So that will be helpful for anyone who wants a solution really fast. So I think this app will help anyone who needs a fast solution rather than just wait for a couple of times for an appointment. Yeah, that's a big problem right now.
Engineering graduate student Christopher Silver's company, Silver Vantage Software, is developing a fall detection system for senior citizens using thermal imaging cameras.
My grandma had fallen in her long-term care home. She's okay, but we thought that if we had our system in place, she could have got the help she needed a lot sooner, because she ended up, it was multiple hours on the ground before someone was able to come help her. So that was kind of the whole inspiration.
Cool says the top prize is just icing on the cake.
Those companies that don't receive the $250,000, we're going to pursue other avenues of investment for them, because we're really satisfied with the quality of candidates that we have in the program this year.
Those interested in hearing more about the 12-week program can visit the Northwestern Ontario Innovation Centre website. Carl Langdon, TBT News.
And finally, Blues Farm kicked off its Fall Wonderland weekend with a visit from the Thunder Bay and District Giant Pumpkin Growers and their Pumpkin Mania event. Hundreds came down to the farm for the Giant Pumpkin Weigh-Off and Pumpkin Drop. The fun started off in the afternoon, where local farmers had their giant pumpkins weighed. Out of 22 pumpkins, Ben Johnson took the crown once again, with a pumpkin weighing in at 1,307 pounds. After the weigh-off was the star of the show, the Pumpkin Drop. 2 giant pumpkins were dropped from a crane, with one landing on a car and the other filled with candy for the kids. There were more giant pumpkins on scene compared to last year, and Johnson says it has to do with the number of new growers.
With our club, we've had many new people come forward and say they wanted to grow giant pumpkins this year, so we got seeds to them. We just tried to promote it a little bit more, which helped out. Just contact our Facebook page, Thunder Bay District Giant Pumpkin Growers. Just post something on there and contact one of the members. We have monthly meetings to help everybody grow larger fruit.
This weekend was just the start of Blues Farm's fall activities, which will take place every weekend until the end of October. And we're now